How's it going, guys? And welcome to another entry in our Community Cast series. In this match, we're going to have a showdown between John Ton as the Dark Elves, led by Malekith the Witch King, and he's going to be facing off against ISM Gazim, who's going to be playing the Lizard People, led by Croc R. And in my opinion, this is definitely going to be a showdown between two of the top-tier factions. If you had to ask me who I think, in my opinion, is the strongest faction in the current metagame, I would probably say the Lizardmen. Croc R is such a powerful duelist, and I mean, again, I think he does actually lose to Kolek one-on-one, but he has so many other tools. He has Hands of the Gods, he has Swiftness of Itzel to knock away nearby troops, and he also has healing capability, so I think he's definitely a little bit better overall. But they have, Saurus Warriors are very strong for their cost. Skink cohorts, or excuse me, the Chameleon Skinks are some of the best skirmishers in the game. They just have layers and layers of healing, and that makes it really tough when they have such a big HP pool. You can see that Croc R does have 6,500, the Saurus Scar Veteran has 59, and this guy over here has 57, and we'll call him Gary for the sake of this match. But yeah, I definitely think the Lizardmen are probably the strongest faction in the hands of a good player. But again, I think the Dark Elves are probably like a hard number 2 or number 3. Malekith is probably one of the strongest lords in the game. Gaze of Malice is really good. The Destroyer and the Circlet of Iron are both pretty good abilities as well. And Witch Elves. Witch Elves are one of the staples that make them so darn good. I mean, if Croc R, one of these dinosaurs, for example, overextends into the Witch Elves will taunt them down, which is really going to allow Malekith and the Black Guard and all of these Dark Riders, but the Dark Shards to take them down with their really good armor-piercing missiles. But as far as John Ton's army goes in the front line, he does have a very heavy core of Dread Spears, which aren't bad for taking the initial shock of the big dinos. They have an anti-large bonus, and they also do have charge defense. They will get munched by Saurus Warriors, but I think they're mainly there to take the beating from these big dinos initially. In the secondary line, this is where he has his real meat and potatoes, so the Blackguard and Ogrond are MVPs in this matchup. If you're able to taunt down the big dinos with the Witch Elves and then grab them with the Black Guard and also focus them with the Dark Shards, like I mentioned before, you can get some serious lifting done. But these guys, 100 armor, which is very good against Saurus Warriors. So Saurus Warriors only have 18 armor piercing damage, I think, and their overall damage is 52. So these guys are going to be pretty durable against Saurus Warriors. They have a really good anti-large bonus of 24 and great armor piercing values. So he has 2 groups of those, 3 groups of the Dark Shards with their AP missiles, which I think are pretty much a must in this matchup. You can use the Dark Shards or you can use the Dark Riders with their repeater crossbows. Both are pretty good choices in my opinion. In the back, he does have 1 group of the Cold One Knights, which I think these are the anti-large variant, so definitely a very good choice as well. And like I said, if you're able to kind of hold them down with the Witch Elves and then grab them with these Cold One Knights, you're going to get your money's worth. So I think that's pretty much it for John Ton's army. He does, of course, have Malekith the Witch King with the Gaze of Malice, which he comes with. It's kind of a bound ability. He does have Soul Stealer, as well as Chill Wind and Power of Darkness. Okay, so now for the Lizard People. They have a couple groups of Chameleon Skinks, which are really, really good in this matchup. These guys can poke Malekith out of the sky. I mean, they're not going to kill him quickly, but they poison him, they drag him down over the course of a long battle, and honestly, whenever the, at least from my experience, the Dark Elves and the Lizard People meet in the battlefield, it's a very long, atrocious battle. So these guys are pretty good. They're also very efficient at poking down Witch Elves, because Witch Elves only have 5 armor, and they have no mitigation towards missile attacks. Although it looks like they do have some physical resist. Let's actually see what that is. So it looks like it's 20%, but again, they're still very squishy, and you can see a couple of them getting darted by these little Chameleon Skinks. So I really like the pick of the Skinks, and they're also very quick. These guys have 48 movement speed, so you can grab them, run up and around the enemy army, and then collapse on their Dark Shards, and it's so tough to deal with. And you can't really counter-skirmish them with the Dark Shards because these Chameleon Skinks have 40% ward save against missile attacks, if you guys look here. So a very tricky unit to handle for sure. So he has a group over here, a group over here. In the front line, Saurus Warriors. Looks like pretty rank and file here. He does have some Skink cohorts, and now here's the big Dino Corps. So pretty much every Lizardman army, maybe except against the Dwarves, likes to bring a lot of dinosaurs. You can see here he does have a Bastillodon. We'll call him Gary, as we said before. He does have Croc R, and then also Saurus Scar Veteran. So a lot of anti-large. Malekith definitely needs to be careful. So without further ado, guys, let's get this show on the road. So over on the far side, I did actually miss a Skink Chief, which is really good. It can kite Malekith with its 90 movement speed. I think Malekith has, let's see, he's actually very fast for a dragon, but 90 movement speed. I guess all dragons probably have 90 movement speed, but regardless, the Skink Chief can apply poison, and it looks like there are some Skinks doing a little bit of a secret agent mission. So very well played by the Lizardmen using these Chameleon Skinks to just absolutely annihilate these Witch Elves. Man, they're taking a ton of damage. Definitely a very rough trade for the mighty John Ton, but John Ton does get a decent little breath attack right here on these Saurus Warriors. It looks like the Lizardman player is going to retaliate with the Revivification Crystal, which is basically like the Lizardman version of the Invocation of Nehek. So a few of those lizards are going to get resurrected here, and it looks like John Ton is going to be advancing, probably not wanting to deal with these Skinks, and just get the fighting started as quickly as you can before you lose too many Witch Elves. So you can see they're just getting dragged into the mud here, which is definitely not fun. And it looks like there's going to be some sort of a spell going down, and I didn't see what Lord Magic the dinos had. Maybe it's just, I'm not sure what that was, but anyways. Looks like there was another Chill Wind right here on these Saurus Warriors, just slowing them and doing a little bit of HP damage. Now the Dread Spears in the front are going to collide with these Saurus Spears, and it looks like the Dread Spears actually do get that charge bonus. But I wonder if the uphill actually matters right now in this particular situation. But yeah, the Dread Spears are going to get cut up pretty quick, but they do have decent melee defense at 42, so hopefully they can hold and allow these Dark Shards and other troops in the back to really get the money's worth. So Malekith is just kind of lurking overhead, looking for some breath attack angles, and it looks like I've been having a bug with that. Whenever I try and do dragon breath attacks, I feel like sometimes it gets bugged out and it doesn't do it. So it looked like Jonton was trying to get a breath attack there. But anyways, you guys can see all of these Dark Shards getting some really, really good fire on Gary, so Gary's going to have to go back to the office and file some TPS reports, and there's the breath attack, which just destroys those Saurus Warriors. So it looks like Jonton is just using the spears in the front line to kind of hold things up, and then he uses the Dragon Breath to win the frontline engagements, which I really like. I mean, look right here. These Dread Spears won. So it looks like the Dinos are getting into the chicken coop a little bit. You can see Krokar is going to be fighting these Witch Elves, which is very risky. And also there's some Chameleon Skink Overwatch, as well as these Skink Chiefs, which are shooting at Malekith. But it looks like Krokar is taking the bad trade here. He is going to be rampaging because of those Witch Elves. There are Blackguard and Nogrond, as well as Cold One Knights, all of whom have really good armor piercing and anti-large values. Jonton, I'm really surprised his front line's holding. Like, when I first saw this replay, I was like, I don't really know if his spears are going to be able to hold the front line against these Saurus Warriors, but they're actually doing really good. And that's because, of course, he was providing support with Malekith and using Chillwind and, Soul Stealer and also the Dragon Breath. But you can see that Krokar here is in some really, really, serious trouble. He has Cold Blood popped on him, which is going to give him some good healing. And it's pretty much worth casting, even if he's, surrounded by things, because it does give a debuff to his melee defense and melee attack, but I think it's worth it. But yeah, look at that. The Murderous Prowess procs. Krokar's going down incredibly quick, and the balance of fire is still very even. The front line is a bit of a atrocious trade. You can see there's some Saurus Warriors still fighting, but the Dread Spear is holding very well. But it looks like this Saurus Scar Veteran is going to be getting in here and teabagging some of these Witch Elves, which, yeah, it looks like they're going to be rampaging. So very, very good play from Jonton using his Witch Elves and these Blackguard to kind of roam around the back line and keep these Dark Shards firing. That's one of the things that can be pretty tough to do in this matchup. If I were the Lizardmen player, I would probably grab these Skinks and just send them into melee, because they will beat the Dark Shards. You can see they have 20 melee attack, 20 melee defense, and 25 weapon strength, I think. That's a lot more than the Dark Shards. They would definitely win in melee. So I would just send them in and bog up these two groups. But the Saurus Scar Veteran is taking quite a bit of damage, and Krokar has run off into the forest, but again, if you don't finish off Krokar or chase him off, he's going to come back with full health. I mean, the Lizardmen have so many ways of healing. He has 3 Cold Bloods. He also has Revivification Crystal, which has 10 charges. It's going to be a lot of work to finish that guy off. So the balance of power just barely kind of tilts in the favor of the Lizardmen, the Dark Elves right now. It looks like Jonton is able to kind of pull ahead here just a little bit. But again, you can never count out Krokar. Look how much he's healed. He was at 1800 HP, now he's over 3000, and he's still going to be getting healing throughout the course of the battle. So the frontline engagement went pretty well. You can see the Dread Spears are holding up for the most part. Over here on the far side, there are 69 Dread Spears. That's what she said. They're having a good old time. And up on the high ground, it looks like the Saurus Warriors, there are a couple rampaging 36 here, and they'll definitely be able to help out a little bit in this engagement. But Krokar is back in action. He's got 3400 HP. He's getting healed again by that Revivification Crystal. And the Dinobots still have a Skink Chief who can do some kiting and, poke Malekith. He has a couple groups of, fairly healthy Skink cohorts, or the Chameleon Skinks, excuse me. And a Saurus Scar Veteran looks to be back online as well. And 1400 HP is, nothing to sneeze at, so... Looks like the Dinos are going to be reforming ranks here on the far side, but unfortunately this guy is rampaging, so he's going to run in, probably just get massacred. You can see Hand of the Gods going in to blast those Witch Elves, but again, it does rampage. That is one of the drawbacks of the Dinobots, and those Dark Shards are probably going to be able to take him down fairly easily. Looks like he has 400 HP, and he's not long for this Earth. He's going to be sent back to Jurassic Park. So I wonder if he shattered 152 HP, he might actually go down here, but up on the high ground you can see these Saurus Warriors are actually rallying a little bit. They are rampaging, so the player has no control over these bad boys, but they're still putting up a pretty good fight against these Dread Spears, who are getting a little bit tattered over the course of the long battle. The big issue for the Lizardmen player is that Malekith is still alive. It looks like there's going to be a Chillwind going down. Pretty good little aim right there. It looks like it clipped the top of the Saurus Warriors and did some damage to the main group of 14 up here. And yeah, it's still a really tough situation though, because there's a bunch of Skinks everywhere, and they're not pushovers in melee. Like, even if you were to engage the Skinks on these Blackguard and Nogrond, they would poison them, and it would give a lot of support for Krokar. And you can see Krokar is just milking those heals. He's almost back up to 4000 HP, which is going to be so tough. But I don't know, it's going to be tough for the Lizardmen to come back, because again, the Blackguard have 71 models here, these ones have 52. There's a lot going on for the Dark Elves, and of course Malekith is a decent combatant in his own right. He has 54 melee attack, 52 melee defense, and 520 weapon strength. So yeah, it's gonna be a wild one, guys. So the little Skink Chief, it looks like he's trying to get away from Malekith, and they're the same speed, but the Skink Chief can fire while moving and apply poison, so I don't think he's going to be able to catch him. And it looks like Krokar is just going around and kind of teabagging troops and trying to stay away from those Witch Elves, and Witch Elves are very quick. If they're able to grab Krokar right here, and you can see that Krokar's animation actually screws up a little bit, it looks like he might get caught by these Witch Elves, but he just plows through a couple of those guys, so it looks like he's able to escape with those Witch Elves. Man, they are so fast. Looks like they have 44 speed, and Krokar is poisoned right now, I think, so he's at 57. But yeah, this is going to be the big defining point in the game. You can see Malekith is actually getting attacked from 2 angles, But now with all these, dark shards coming in, but yeah, the chameleon skinks are also rushing into melee as well. So a very, very close game. Very well played by both players, and they're going to shut down this dark shard fire, which is going to make Krokar that much stronger. So the balance of power is starting to heavily kind of tilt in the favor of the dark elves right here. And Krokar is still getting some pretty good work done on Malekith, but I think the witch elves and all these Blackguard and Nogron here are really going to make the difference. You can also see some dread spears. Yeah, I don't know what else the lizard people can do. Krokar might retreat, but I think he's at his healing cap. He has 300 HP, and honestly, he probably healed for over like 5,000 or 6,000 HP over the course of this game. And if there's a faction that I think gives the Lizardmen a really good run for their money, I definitely think it's the Dark Elves. It's a good matchup for the Dark Elves. They have really good AP missiles. They have pretty good anti-large units. They also have taunt. And one of the big issues about dealing with the dinosaurs is the fact that they can kind of run around and do as they please without impunity. Krokar is such big mass, even if he gets caught up by like enemy halberds or things like that, or even like enemy cav, he seems to be able to push out pretty easily. But with the taunt mechanic from the Witch Elves, it's just always this constant pressure. And of course, they do have really good armor-piercing missiles that don't really suffer from the same problem that handgunners have. They have really good arcs of fire, so even if there's obstruction, they can like shoot up and over it and still get that really good AP value. So you can see that Gary's having a little bit of a rough time right here. He's getting attacked by this giant Malekith. It looks like Malekith, I thought he had a buff on him for some reason. But Gary's definitely going to be sent back to the office, and yeah, he's having a rough time. Looks like he's going to go down right there. So there's a Skink Chief and a couple of these chameleons that are going to be fighting against Malekith, trying for a bit of a last stand here. But honestly, they're still such a healthy group of Blackguard. Since last time we looked, I think they had like 71 or 72 models, and now they're down to 68, so still in really good shape. So that's pretty much going to be all she wrote for the Lizard people, I think. Very well played both players. It was definitely strong builds. But I actually liked John Ton's use of the Dread Spears in the front line. Like, normally that's something I would think, I'd be like, that's not going to work against the Lizardmen. I feel like Saurus Warriors are just going to massacre them because, again, these guys only have like 30 armor against the 52 weapon strength of these Saurus Warriors. And again, Saurus Warriors don't have great AP, but you don't need it against Dread Spears. But what he did to really make it work is he grabbed Malekith, he was using Breath Attacks, he was using Chill Wind and Soul Stealer, and all of these different abilities in the front line to really win that engagement. And from there, he was able to use the Blackguard as well as these Witch Elves to handle the more expensive units. And he also did a really good job of protecting these Dark Shards with the Witch Elves. So yeah, it was pretty good. For ISM Gasm, I liked his build quite a bit. I would probably cut one Saurus Warrior. I definitely like the 3 Saurus Warriors. But what you needed to be doing in that matchup is using Skink Cohorts to just swarm the back line. You probably go with 3 Saurus Warriors. And then if you cut this one and got rid of the Chevrons, you could have 4 Skink Cohorts. Bring a couple of Skink Javelins as well, because the Javelins can do a ton of damage against the Witch Elves. Aside from that, I really like the build. The Revivification Crystal is pretty good. You just need to keep it out of the range of the Dark Shards. It took way too much damage early on. But Krokar is super competitive. The Skink Chief is good, and he didn't have a caster. But again, he was going all in on kind of these big, powerful heroes. So, a lot of people tend to do that, but I still think it would have been better to bring a caster. I mean, Lord of Heavens is actually really good. You can use the Comet of Cassandor to kind of nuke the more expensive troops, and then you can use the Wind Blast to kind of nuke the Witch Elves as well as the Dark Shards. So I think that would have been very helpful. But very well played to John Ton and ISM Gasm. Guys, John Ton also has a YouTube channel. I'll definitely be putting a link in the comment section below. He's a very, very good Empire player, pretty good at Dark Elves as well, and just an awesome guy. So guys, thanks again for watching. Go check out John Ton's channel, and guys, we'll see you guys next time.